So let's talk about the concept of judgment and condemnation. Where if you're using the Devar Bible translation and you search the word condemn, you see there's 19 occurrences. And this is all the same word from kata krino. So kata krino is a verb from the compound of the preposition kata, which governs motion or location down, and then krino. And then the word krino itself simply means to judge. So you see they've translated it judge here in the King James 88 times out of 114 times, where they also translated it condemn. And this is the problem where you read the word condemn in the King James in these verses, it's not communicating the same thing as katakrino, which has the added preposition and pertains to a very specific context. Condemnation is reserved for only one group of people in the Bible. That would be the cursed of Matthew 25:41 here. Forgive the heater in the background, just kicked in. All right, so those having been cursed who are the left named into the Aeonian fire here, concerning the judgment of the Diabolos and his angels, will not come into life. We see this in the conclusion down here. The righteous will come into Aeonian life, and then they're condemned. They are the ones who are condemned. And the connection that connects these to condemnation brings us to 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 6. So remember, condemned means to down judge. So the preposition down is a significant part of the concept of condemnation. So the mention of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah here is the same context of Jude, where we see the angels mentioned here are the same angels of Matthew 25:41. Okay. And here we see that the Aeonian fire is also mentioned, which is the same seen in Matthew 25:41. That prepared for the Diabolos and his angels, the angels of Jude 6, the Aeonian fire, Jude 7. And then we also see the Aeonian fire mentioned in Matthew 18:8 here, which ties to the figure of the Gehenna of the fire. So this is all condemnation for the left named. Again, Matthew 25:41, where understand these, my least brothers, are the last to come into the right hand completion of Christ's body. And this is what I call the right-left paradigm, which also has the same relationship to the parabolic watch times of the third and fourth watch times. If you haven't already watched my pinned videos where I talk about the so-called rapture, which is the context of the event in the middle of the night, Matthew 25:6 and 10, where those who are locked out of the wedding here concludes the second watch time of Luke 12:38 here. And this then begins the third watch time. So midnight here, that which begins the third watch time, brings the least brothers into the completion of the right hand here, where then this is the curse. Okay, so this is the condemnation or the katakrisis, down judge. They will not come into the allotment of the blissful are those. Where you see here the fourth watch time is not mentioned according to blissful. So this is the right-left paradigm concerning the third, fourth watch time. Third watch time is the sign that was given Peter, thrice denial. So katakrisis or condemnation is all according to the curse, which is death. All right, the curse is the death. All of these occurrences are speaking of the left named. And again, the connection in 2 Peter ties all of this to Sodom and Gomorrah. It ties it to Jude chapter 7. Verse 7. The Aeonian fire, Matthew 25:41. The angels, Matthew 25:41. And those who do not come into life. So understand, in John chapter 5, when Jesus said, those having done the good will go out into resurrection of life, this includes my least brothers. And those who are practicing the malicious are the cursed also here then. So this is another right-left paradigm where we have to think in terms of third, fourth watch time here. All of these go into life. These do not. These are condemned or down-judged. The judgment Jesus is referring to here is the condemnation or the katakrisis. Now, if we back up to verse 24, Jesus speaks of those who will step further, who do not come into judgment. Now, the context of this precedes, and then he gives him the judgment to do authority, where the good go out into life. So the stepping further here is referring to what's called the out resurrection at eventide, which I have other videos talking about this, which is called uploosen and out resurrection. Again, in Luke 12:38, where Jesus enumerates the watch times, the first watch time that has disappeared here is the uploosen here, which is the step further that we just talked about in John 5:24. Watch my video 051 here. When Paul said, if somehow I may get into the out resurrection, video 24, this is Philippians 3:11, where, again, the context backs up to what he says in chapter 1, verse 23 regarding the uploosen, which is Luke 12:36, according to the first watch time order here. So the point being is that we have to understand these orders, each in his own order, 1 Corinthians 15:23, where when we get to the end of the road here of the blissful ones in the right hand, the curse of the left named is the condemnation or down judge. So again, John 5:24, step further who do not come into judgment, is referring to krisis, not katakrisis, not condemnation. And this is the out resurrection. And then again, but he also gave him also the judgment to do authority, krisis, where the good who go out into resurrection of life includes the second and third watch timers here. And then the malicious into resurrection of judgment is the down judgment or condemnation. Where then, if we back up to John chapter 3, verse 18, when Jesus says the one faithing into him is not judged, here again, this word is krino. Strong's G2919. Not kata krino. So translating krino as condemned here in the King James of John 3:18 is wrong. It should be translated judged, because he's referring to the not judgment of John 5:24, who out resurrect, where these still have judgment into the completion of the right hand, where then this is the condemnation. So this can be misleading because Jesus isn't talking about condemnation here.